It's time to start thinking about what bulbs you want to plant this fall to get some beautiful color in spring and early summer. Welcome to Joy in the Garden. So, in a few weeks, it'll be time for me to start digging holes and putting all these bulbs in the ground for some beautiful color next spring and next early summer. But today, I want to walk you through all the bulbs that I'm actually going to put in the ground. Are they annuals or perennials for me? How deep of a hole do I dig? Just some techniques and things that have worked for me in the past when it comes to bulbs. So let's talk about tulips, daffodils, alliums, hyacinth. Let's get to it. So let's start with tulips. So of all the bulbs that I have and I plan to put in the ground this fall, tulips are the only ones that I consider more of an annual than a perennial. So all of the other bulbs, the alliums, the daffodils, they will come back year after year, and in fact will multiply year after year. Tulips, on the other hand, they may come back a second or third year, but they will flower less and less as the years go on. So a little bit opposite of a typical daffodil or allium, spring allium, or early summer blooming allium, I should say. Now, this year, I did order the Darwin hybrid variety, and I have read that they are supposed to be better at coming back year after year. We'll see. I typically plant my tulips where I plant summer annual plants, and then when the tulips are done, they've bloomed and they're spent, I'll dig those tulips up and then I put my annuals there. But this year, because I tried this variety, I have 150 here. I have pink, orange, and blush. I believe those are the three. Pink impression, yes, blush. So I have three different varieties of the Darwin hybrid that I think they'll just look beautiful together. So I may just actually put these all, I don't know, in a bucket and kind of mix them up. We'll see. So about half of them I'm going to put in the front where I typically plant annuals. And the other half I'm going to try putting in places in the back here and make sure that where I have that tulip, I don't dig that area up for something else, because I want to kind of test and see, will this Darwin hybrid variety come back better than what I've experienced before? So all of the tulips that I've chosen will all bloom in mid-spring. They all will get about 20 inches tall. They all need to be dug about 6 inches deep. And so I want a show all at one time, right? So I'm going to, with all of these here, I typically will dig a hole and put anywhere from 6, 7, 8, 9 bulbs in one hole and create more like bouquets in the landscape versus a hole, a hole, a hole, a hole. That's what I actually prefer to do, and I think it looks a little bit more natural. So I'm very excited for these new tulips because I have never grown them before. So very, very excited after all these years. Trying something new is going to be fun. So now let's talk about daffodils. I love daffodils, and one of the reasons I really love them is, first of all, rabbits and other critters, they don't dig up daffodils. There's something about them that they don't like. I don't have a huge problem with critters digging up things like tulips, but if I plant tulips here in the back, they will come after that more than they will in the front. So daffodils, I don't really have to be worried about that. Now I have over 150 bulbs here, and I am actually, okay, my favorite daffodil is the Tahiti. I love the Tahiti daffodil. I believe it's one of those daffodils that just kind of looks up at you. Some daffodils look down at you. I think that Tahiti looks up at you, and I just love it. I do have a good handful of Tahitis, but I have a big pack of 75 here. So I have quite a few up front, but I will be adding probably about, I'd say a third of them will go in my front beds because I have quite a few daffodils up there. I don't have a lot in the back here. So in this new garden area, I'll put some videos on the screen. I am going to add some Tahiti. And that bulb gets about 14 to 16 inches tall. Same depth as the tulips, 6 inches deep, and they will bloom mid-spring. So I am a Tahiti fan. What I'm growing that I have not grown before is I don't even know if I'm saying this right, Tita Titi. It is a little daffodil. So it is only 6 to 8 inches tall. So I'm going to kind of place these all over the place. So I think I probably have a little under 100 of this variety. Again, only 6 to 8 inches tall. They do bloom early to mid-spring, so they'll bloom a little bit earlier than the Tahiti. And these are going to go in the front, they're going to go in the back. And the great thing about daffodils is they multiply. So whatever show you get the first year, the next year is going to be better. The next year after that's going to be better. Now, there's a couple things that you do need to realize. When you leave a bulb up, like a daffodil, it's bloomed, it's spent. You have to let that green turn brown. If it blooms and you're like, oh, the leaves are turning a little brown, I'm going to cut that off. You have just cut the energy to that bulb for the next year. So they need the green leaves after they have bloomed to actually die back to give that bulb some extra storage, or I shouldn't say storage, give that bulb some energy for the next year. Now, I don't put any kind of fertilizer in my bulbs when I'm planting them. When I do fertilize them is after they have bloomed in the spring. I will then put some fertilizer on them, and that just helps kind of restore their energy for their bloom the next year. So pretty excited about these daffodils as well. I'm excited to have them again because they naturalize, they double, they triple. That's the kind of plant I like. So let's talk about hyacinth. I love hyacinth. I have a couple varieties of pink ones in the front, and I'm going to be adding the blue jacket variety. I have 20 of them here. And again, just like I do with the other ones, I'll probably put maybe 7 or something like that, 7 to 8 in each, and kind of create a bouquet of blue jacket hyacinth. These are beautiful. Again, these, they go down 6 inches. So, a lot of consistency here. Daffodils, tulips, you dig them 6 inches deep, and they will bloom mid-spring. So these will be blooming about the time that the Tahiti daffodils are blooming. And actually, I think about the same time that my tulips are blooming. But we'll see. We always want that to happen. I like having a big show versus a little bit. I like having a big show if I can. But, it doesn't always work out exactly right. But pretty excited for these blue jackets. Last, but certainly not least, the allium. So the allium bulb is my favorite bulb. I love tulips, daffodils. They are part of my garden. I love how they're part of my garden. But nothing brings such uniqueness to the garden as much as an allium does. I just believe they bring something kind of magical. So I have quite a few of the ambassador variety, the globe master variety. Last year, I actually had the white giant variety. And again, these are like daffodils. They will multiply over time. So I have some ambassadors up front that I started with 6, and last year, there were 18 or 19. I think that was probably over about 4 years. So they definitely multiply and look more and more beautiful. So I'm going to be planting some Mount Everest. So those are white. Some Schubertes. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but I'm going to put all of these varieties up on the screen behind me just so you can see, because I'm pretty excited. Some white varieties, some deeper purple varieties, and they need to be dug 5 inches deep. So again, my fave, because I also love, they're blooming about the time that the baptisia is blooming, about the time that catmint starts to bloom. So they're more of an early summer bloomer. So very different in my mind from the daffodil, tulips, and other things, because this is really an early summer show. 2 other key things for alliums. The allium, for many of the allium varieties, their leaves will start to kind of brown the same time that they are flowering. And that's natural. That's normal for an allium. So you really want to plant these behind something so that that foliage that's looking like it's dying, it's turning tan and then really more tan, that you're not seeing that. So for instance, I have mine planted behind boxwoods, behind baptisia, so that they're shooting, you think about how tall the allium is going to be, and the bloom is on the top. So if you just have a plant in the front, you'll hide all of that foliage. And trust me, it's pretty easy to do. Secondly, with the allium, unlike tulips and daffodils and hyacinths, I told you I kind of plant them as bouquets. I kind of dig a hole and put like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, whatever in that hole and kind of create bouquets in the landscape. With the allium, I actually dig a hole for each bulb. So I'll actually use my drill thing and go down 5 inches. The reason I do that is alliums, they come up with a stalk and then they have a flower at the top. And I want those flowers, they can get pretty big depending on what variety you're actually growing. So it's okay to me that they are kind of separated. And I think like most of these say like, oh, I don't know, this one says 8 inches apart. This is 12 inches apart. So you don't have to follow that exactly, but you don't want them all in kind of like a bouquet like that, because when they go up, their blooms are going to run into each other, which can happen over time as they begin to multiply as well. So I do put each bulb in a separate hole. And that's all I have for you today. So thank you very much for joining me. It's getting quite windy out here. Maybe we're going to get a great rainstorm. I hope so. Have a great day.